Back to Olympic Stadium we go tonight in Montreal. There's only one more spring training game to be played, and this one will involve the Milwaukee Brewers as the Blue Jays wrap it up tonight before heading home to take on the Tigers on opening day. And to set the scene on this one, let's bring in the men who will call this game. Buck Martinez is with Pat Tabler. Buck?
Well, Jamie, this is the game we've all been waiting for, the final spring training game of the season. And this spring, we've gotten a chance to see a lot of the minor league prospects. And two of the more interesting prospects have been 21-year-old Bo Bichette and 23-year-old Danny Jansen.
You know, the great thing about these games in Montreal is a chance to see some of the young players from the farm system in a major league stadium, a big league setting. And one of those players, Bo Bichette, showed off his tools in last night's game with this base hit to right field, hustling up down the line. He's a 300 hitter waiting to happen. And then on the defensive side, he shows his range at shortstop and his strong arm. He can play both sides of the baseball. And another player who has really come on, I think, this spring defensively, Danny Jansen, showing off his arm, showing off all of his tools, saying that hard work that I put in this spring is starting to show some fruit for himself. This is just the beginning for some of these young players in the Blue Jays farm system. They're starting to make their way up to Toronto. There are so many prospects that they have. We're going to see them here in Montreal, and they're just now starting to get here. This is an exciting team. It's a big league team. It's a farm system that's really starting to bear some fruit.
Maybe as high as the third best farm system in all of baseball, 24-year-old Thomas Pannone. This is a big start for Thomas tonight, his second start of the spring. There are still some spots open on the 25-man roster. Pannone trying to grab one of those spots with a good outing tonight in Montreal. Jamie?
Thomas Pannone gets the nod tonight. In the opener on Thursday, it's Marcus Stroman against Detroit. Matt Shoemaker gets the start Friday, and then Sanchez and Thornton on the weekend. So Trent Thornton on Sunday against the Tigers makes his major league debut. Clayton Richard on Monday begins a series at home against the Baltimore Orioles. Thornton, though, is the focus here. He'll make his big league debut. Do you like the choice?
I do like the choice, and it's going to be very interesting to watch him make his major league debut. Had a nice season as a AAA starter last year in the Astros system. He's got a wild, deceptive-looking delivery, but he'll run it up there 95 miles per hour with a good curveball and cutter. The interesting thing is he pitched multiple outs, multiple innings in his spring training appearances, but 3 2/3 in his last outing. He's probably not going to give you a lot of length. I think we may see Sam Gaviglio follow him, and perhaps combined they can give you 5 or 6 innings.
Gaviglio's been told he's made the club. Pannone, maybe still. It's a possibility, depending on how things go, and he will get the nod tonight in Montreal. Thursday, we'll kick things off with Tim and Sid at 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific time, and then join us for a 90-minute edition of Blue Jays Central at 2 Eastern, 11 Pacific on Sportsnet. Cannot wait to get the season started. I'm sure you feel the same way. There's Pannone and Jansen ready to go at the Big O in Montreal. Enjoy this ball game, folks. It's the last one of the spring training schedule.
Big O in Montreal. The Brewers and the Blue Jays set to wrap up the 2019 spring training season. Both of these ball clubs anxious to get this game under their belt. Craig Counsell, in his 5th season as the manager of the Milwaukee Brewers. Of course, they had a terrific year last year, winning the National League Central Division. They've had a good spring. Last night's win gave them 19 wins for the spring. Take a look at their lineup. Top of the order, Lorenzo Cain. This is the A-team. The only guy missing in this is Ryan Braun, the left fielder. Travis Shaw, he had a big night last night. His 5th home run. That leads the Brewers in home runs. And the Brewers are the most prolific home run hitting ball club in all of baseball during this spring training. And they are set to face the left-hander, Thomas Pannone.
It's a good hitting team the Milwaukee Brewers have out there, so Thomas Pannone's got to bring his A game. He hasn't had that so far in the spring. This is his 8th game, 2nd start. There are the numbers that he has had this spring. He's just been missing on his pitches, hasn't been able to throw the fastball where he needs to or his breaking ball. He's been working on a few things, and we'll talk about that as the night goes along. He's scheduled to throw 2 innings tonight. And I think if he pitches well, I think he makes this club either as a starter or a reliever.
Defense has been a real emphasis for Charlie Montoyo and his coaching staff, and they've got a good one at shortstop in Freddie Galvis.
You know, we talked about Brandon Drury yesterday on the left side. We're going to complement that with Freddie Galvis on the left side. The improvement on the left side of the infield has been unbelievable. He's very durable, very sure-handed, and the Blue Jays got a good one. I think a steal in free agency.
Lorenzo Cain will lead things off. Pannone is set. There's the first pitch of the game. It's swung on, missed, and we are underway. Kane, the starting center fielder, he's had a good spring. 11 hits, a 324 average. Outside, ball on the strike. Panone's made some adjustments in his approach. As Pat mentioned, we'll get to the entire list of those changes, but one of the changes has been his windup.
Yeah, you can see it right off the top. He's going to go over his head now with his arms, and he just wants to generate a little bit more power and help that timing on that release point when he lets go of the baseball. Last year, he kept the hands close to his body, just kind of did a half turn. Didn't really feel like he was getting his legs into it. Now he feels like he's got his whole body behind everything.
Breaking ball, line to Smoke, who is playing well off the line. Kane's retired on the line drive to first.
Defense is so important, and the Blue Jays, I think, have really shored up their defense. Smoke's a Gold Glover. Made one error all of last season. Blue Jays are playing off the line just a little bit more this year, and it shows off right there.
One quick out for the Blue Jays. Regulars will probably go 5 innings tonight, maybe get a couple of at-bats. They had 3 at-bats last night. This is Christian Yelich, the National League MVP a year ago.
Was there anybody in baseball who had a change of address that it worked out for him any better than this guy? Huh?
He went from Miami, the basement in the National League East, to winning the division in the Central.
In spacious Marlins Park down in Miami. Tough to hit home runs.
That's a line foul down the left side.
And
big ballpark.
He comes to Milwaukee, which is a hitter's paradise, and he puts up 36 long ones last year.
Prior to last season, 21 home runs was his career high. That came in 2016 while playing in Miami. He spent 5 years with the Marlins, hit a total of 59 home runs in those 5 seasons, had 36 last year in Milwaukee.
Almost got to that in one season.
Right back up the middle, a crisp liner into center. Yelich is aboard with a 1-out single. Yelich hit 326 last year. That led the National League.
Left-handers, right-handers, it doesn't matter. Look how he stays in on that breaking ball from Panone. Thomas tried to throw that little cutter away from Yelich, and he stayed right on it.
Thomas came up last year, made his debut on August 10th. Made 4 relief appearances before making his first big league start. He has been a starter throughout his minor league career. Right now, as we mentioned, there are a couple of question marks in the bullpen, and they're not really sure who's going to fill those spots. And Panone would love to grab one of those spots along with Sam Gaviglio, who has been put on the ball club.
Yes, he was put on the club today. And one of the things I think that Panone has going for him, if he doesn't make it as a starter, they only have one lefty out of the bullpen right now penciled in. That's Tim Meza. And I know Charlie Montoya would love to have that second left-hander. He's got a good breaking ball, and he's been working on his breaking ball, trying to throw it just a little bit harder, trying to spin it just a little bit harder, and that plays out of the bullpen.
2-0 to Hernan Perez, who is playing in left field. Outside now, 3-0. Well, this is a challenge for any starter. We have seen this throughout the course of history. Starters have a tendency to struggle in the first inning before they can really get into the flow of the game. That's why some managers have gone to the opener, trying to get that guy a quick inning. It's usually a reliever that throws just 1 inning. A 4-pitch walk to Perez.
Walks haven't been the problem this spring for Thomas Panone. That's just his 4th walk this spring. It's falling behind hitters and not being able to throw his fastball where he needs to.
Isn't that true for any pitcher? Boy, you locate your fastball, you make things a lot easier on yourself. As you mentioned, Panone has now just walked 4 batters all spring long. It's the 4th time he's walked a batter, as opposed to 15 strikeouts. So those numbers are in good shape.
You'll take that 3-1, but it's now get ahead of these hitters. Go right after them.
Here's the dangerous Jesus Aguilar, the first baseman. Another ball outside, and Panone's got to get back in the strike zone. Aguilar last year had a big year. At 30 home runs. This season has been a good spring, but he has managed just 1 home run and 10 ribbies. Good location right there. Aguilar didn't like the call. Evens the count at a ball on the strike.
Looks like he might have taken something off that pitch right there to help him to get into the strike zone. He's at his best, I think, when he's pitching inside. Staying aggressive to right-handed batters and trying to pump that fastball in there and then dropping that curveball on him.
Another strike right on the corner. Pannone doesn't have the kind of velocity where he could just throw the ball down the heart of the plate. He's got to locate his pitches. But, as you mentioned, he can really pitch inside the right-handed hitters, and that's really a tremendous asset for a young lefty. Get that strike on the inside corner.
Sequencing is so important, especially for somebody like Thomas.
Popped him up. Pilar has a beat on it, coming in a few steps. He makes the second out of the inning. Held him out in front.
And by sequencing, I mean, okay, every pitch has a purpose. He threw a couple of change-ups to Aguilar and then dropped a little bit slower curveball, and you just said it, he had him out in front. His timing was off. So if your sequences are right and you throw the right pitch at the right time, you'll get big league hitters out.
That's the art of pitching, is disrupting the timing of the hitters, and Pannone did that very well with Aguilar. 2 outs now for Travis Shaw. We mentioned Shaw with 5 home runs this spring, including a long home run last night in the 5th inning, a 3-run shot deep to right field. Missed with that breaking ball.
That home run that you talked about was on high fastball. And they are using their scouting reports. They're going with their scouting reports, and they say, we can get this guy out with high fastballs. Backfired on him that time.
Breaking ball missed outside. Pannone still hasn't found his release point.
Well, you got to believe that Travis Shaw is looking for one pitch right here. Some type of fastball out over the plate.
Boy, he was late on that pitch.
He beat him with that fastball. Let's go back to last night's ball game. Travis Shaw with a high pitch from Jason Adams. And the scouting report said, we can get him. We can get him with high fastballs. That's what our numbers say. But unfortunately, last night, that 3-run home run was a pitch that he got to.
Every once in a while, a hitter will hit those pitches that he generally has a tough time with. Another fastball, he's late on that one. What's that tell you about Pannone's velocity? He won't light up the radar, but Shaw's been late on 2 fastballs.
It tells me 2 things, and both of them. The first one is he's got one of those high spin rates that for some reason players don't pick up his fastball. It gets on him very quickly. It's either that or Travis Shaw is looking for something soft, something off speed.
2-2, 2 outs. Yelich at second. There's another fastball for the strikeout, so Pannone gets out of it. Big strikeout. The Brewers hit a couple of base runners, but strand 2. And we come back top of the order for the Jays here in Montreal. Way back in 1967, and you take a look at his lineup. 13-15, that's the spring record for the Blue Jays. Top of the order. This is going to be more than likely opening day lineup right here. You can have a look at it, and Brandon Drury is penciled in that leadoff spot. He's had a good spring. 16 hits in 19 games for Drury. He has a .308 average, and he's been on base a lot. He's done a nice job top of the order. Charlie Montoya said, you know what, I'm going to look at this lineup, see how it goes, and we'll make adjustments as the season goes on.
Probably get a couple of at-bats tonight and then be out. They will face Corbin Burns, the 24-year-old, makes his 7th appearance and 6th start of the spring. He has been penciled in as one of those starters. They've got 3 very good young ones. And here's one of them. He was 7-0 with a .261 earned run average last year. for this team in 30 relief appearances, originally a 4th-round draft pick in 2016. He's got a pretty good arm. And if he's anything like the guy we saw last night, Woodruff had some good stuff. Some of the players around the cage today were talking about it.
Here's Brandon Drury. That pitch is up and in for ball 1. Mentioned Montoya was drafted. He was drafted at 86 by the Brewers. Drury with his 16 hits, 3 homers and 6 RBIs for the spring. That's off the end of the bat. That's going to reach the seats. What do you like about Brandon Drury in the top of the order?
Well, one swing he can give you a run. I think that's the one thing. He's got a pretty good eye. He's got some power. He hits the ball all over the place. Defense can't overshift on him because he can hit the ball from foul line to foul line. But I like him up there because with one swing he can get you a run.
I think it's a leadoff base hit right here to start the inning for the Blue Jays. Let's take a look at the defense for Milwaukee. Yeah, they can pound the baseball, but they're pretty good in the field as well. And they are anchored by another good shortstop in Orlando Arcia.
Yeah, he had his share of errors last year, committed 15 of them, but he's a good shortstop, very young, and his manager, Craig Counsell, says we're trying to use his defensive skill set to the max, meaning we'll move him all over the infield at shortstop and try to put him in position to make as many plays as possible. Yeah, he'll make his share of errors, but he is a very good, very exciting young player.
Randall Grichuk did not play in the game last night. He's had a good spring. 4 homers, 7 RBIs for Grichuk. This is, of course, his second full season with the Blue Jays. Came over prior to last year to trade from St. Louis.
And that's always tough whenever you move from league to league. You just don't know the pitchers. You can look at all the video you want, but until you stand in that batter's box and you face them, it's very difficult. And I think that was part of the problem that he had early on last season.
Yeah, I mean, he had some injuries early. He had some injuries in the spring. He had a wrist injury, had an oblique injury, hurt his ribs diving for a ball in the outfield. That was in spring training. 1-1 pitch. Chased the ball off the plate. Corbin Burns is the pitcher for Milwaukee, 24 years old. Came out of the minor league system. Began the season last year, AAA Colorado Springs, where he went 3-4 in 19 games.
Didn't start pitching last year till July, the second half. He won 7 games, didn't lose one.
Another pitch off the plate. Called for the swing on the appeal down the first base umpire. So Grichuk's down.
One of the things that he has is a very good slider, Burns, and it can be especially tough on right-handers. You can see right there that Randall went around on that check swing. That was his slider. He throws it 84 to 86 miles an hour. He's got some tight spin on it and can be very tough on right-handed hitters. Throws that about 32% of the time.
Teoscar Hernandez in the 3rd spot. Sure, he doesn't run an awful lot, but Burns wanted to check on him just in case.
He has an excellent move. Taking a look at his scouting report, said he has an excellent move over to first base, and if that's any indication, he's pretty quick. But you're right, Brandon Drury is not really a base stealer.
And it took too much time. You mentioned that great start. Burns got off to 7-0 last year in the regular season. Then he won an extra game in the postseason. On game 3 of the division series.
You and I had a chance to visit with Gord Ash today down on the field. Gord still works for the Milwaukee Brewers, and asked him to give us a little scouting report on their team. He says we've got 3 young pitchers, but they're 3 very good pitchers, starting pitchers, who we're going to count on Brandon Woodruff, who we saw last night. We're going to see Corbin Burns tonight. Freddie Peralta was the other one that he mentioned. That all three of them through the farm system, and they're banking on them to take the next step in their development.
And they have the support of a very deep bullpen, so that's a good thing. So you can really monitor their outings, and when they do get themselves into trouble, you've got enough arms down in that bullpen. The electric dudes, as you mentioned last night.
And they're good. They were really good last year. I'm sure they're going to be good this year.
Ball on the strike to Teoscar Hernandez, bottom of the first. This big fastball. One thing we saw last night with Woodruff and so far tonight, good velocity from both starters. Woodruff basically threw fastballs, 2-seam, 4-seam fastballs with a lot of movement.
Yeah, the players were talking about that around the batting cage earlier this afternoon, that he's tough. He had a lot of movement. He was just winding up and just using his fastball last night.
He went around. Another strikeout for Corbin Burns as Hernandez couldn't check his swing. Back-to-back strikeouts after the leadoff single.
And he attacks the strike zone. He's very relentless going after it. That's a high fastball. He goes around, and I think he knows it.
For those of you watching, you're going to see a lot of those high fastballs this year. The pitchers have made the adjustment to the launch angle swing, and they're going upstairs a lot. We have seen it with the Blue Jays. We've seen it with the opposing pitchers as well. And if you're going to avoid the home runs, this is a good guy to focus on, Justin Smoke. He can take it deep in a heartbeat. Smokey with 4 home runs and 7 ribbies so far this spring. 2 years ago, he was the starting first baseman in the All-Star game. Had a career season with 38 homers.
And 2 outs. He's trying to hit an extra base hit, so the defense is aligned appropriately for that. Shifted around to the right side and deep. Not just the outfielders who are deep. You've got infielders. Yeah, where's Mike Moustakas? You can't see him, the second baseman. He's out in short right field.
He is the rover, if you will. There's Moustakas.
There he is.
Different feeling for Moustakas, who's played most of his big league games at third base. And this year he's going to play over at second base across the diamond. 0-2 to Smoke inside. Milwaukee with high expectations this season. They took the Dodgers to the 7th game of the championship series, fell a game short of going to the World Series. And they're confident that they're going to make another trip to the postseason.
You know, if they do, I think they have to stay hot early, because 20 of their first 26 games are against the Cubs, who they're going to be fighting all season long, I think, in their division. The Dodgers might have the deepest pitching in the National League, and the Cardinals. Those 3 teams, they play them 20 out of the first 26 games, so they have to get off to a good start, I think. Never want to get buried in the month of April.
How about Burns? He gave up a leadoff single, then strikes out the next 3 in a row. Richard Hernandez and Smoke. Good start for the big right-hander.
Game 2 of 2 between the Blue Jays and the Brewers. It starts for real on Thursday, and by the end of this evening, Thomas Pannone will know whether or not he's headed to Toronto to be a reliever or to Buffalo to start in AAA. Now, Pannone feels that his stuff has shown better than the results went in spring training games, and it was Charlie Montoyo today who said, look, we like him against lefties, that he can be a weapon out of the pen, especially because of how his breaking stuff was working in camp. The cutter is a 4th pitch added to Pannone's arsenal, and he's been throwing it of late. It can get in on righties, away to lefties, and back door to righties, which can especially be effective on days the fastball isn't working well. Long term, Pannone believes he can be a big league starter who can log 200 innings. For now, though, this season, he said, any situation that can get me on the big league team, I'm willing to pitch in any role.
Well, Rash, that's always a great approach for anybody. They just put me in, coach. I don't care where I'm at. I just want to be on the team. And they've seen so many great starters in the Blue Jays franchise history begin their career pitching out of the bullpen.
You know who comes to mind when you see Thomas Pannone? Who did that? He was pretty good.
Look at this. Moustakas made a bid for a base hit, and I think we're going to see more of that this year. They're playing Moustakas in the shift, and he said, you know what, I'll take advantage of it. And why not? Lefty against lefty, leading off the inning.
Drop down a bunt, just get it by the pitcher, and you'll be fine. That's only one strike. Brandon Drury is now asking, should I come in just a little bit more now with only one strike? He's asking Luis Rivera. It's like Luis telling him, no, stay back. If he can bunt like that, we'll give it to him.
And he does. So he takes the base hit. And like I said, you're going to see more of this, folks. Hitters finally making the adjustment. And why would you just bang your head against the shift all year long when you can get a hit to start an inning?
If they're going to give you that whole left side, it's the second inning. How about start your night off 1-for-1 with this? How simple is that? Just drop it down there.
And the more they do it, the better they're going to get at it. And then the defenses will straighten out, and then he'll have holes all over the infield. So here's Manny Pena with Moustakas aboard at first base. Pena picked up the starter in last night's game, Yasmani Grandal. Tonight, Grandal is in the lineup as the DH.
I want to finish my thought about Thomas Pannone and pitching out of the bullpen to begin your big league career. And he ended up a pretty good starter for the Blue Jays. Jimmy Key.
Started in '84, had a 10-save season in '84 with the Blue Jays. Jimmy Key, Pat Henkin, David Wells, Todd Stottlemyre, Al Leiter, they all pitched for the Blue Jays out of the bullpen early in their career. And they all became very good starters.
And he reminds me of Jimmy. He just doesn't have the feel yet for the changeup or the pitchability with his curveball just yet. The continuity and be able to throw it when he's behind in the count. But his type of pitcher, who he is and what he's going to become, reminds me of Key.
Yeah, an awful lot like Jimmy Key. And Key was as knowledgeable a pitcher as I ever caught. He really picked up on things quickly. Made great adjustments. Jack Morris will tell you when Jack sat on the bench next to Jimmy Key on the World Series years, he said Jimmy Key taught me a lot about pitching.
Thomas Pannone has better fastball than Jimmy. Jimmy just was a little bit more refined.
Popped in the air, shallow right field. Grichuk coming in quickly, closing ground, makes the catch. One away. So Pannone got in on the hands of Pena, got the soft pop-up to right. But I think if you use a pitcher like Pannone out of the bullpen, especially to start a season, you can really handpick the matchups and build his confidence by putting him in good situations where he can have success. He had success last year as a starter, but a different role as a reliever. I think Pannone could flourish and certainly would be an opportunity for him to get more innings in the big leagues.
No question. He's got talent and he's a big league pitcher. He had that one game, was it against Baltimore last year? Pitched into the 7th inning, gave up just one hit.
He had 2 real good outings, and that one was the first against the Orioles. That came in Toronto, August 22nd. 1 hit, 7 innings, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts through just 108 pitches. He was dominant. But there were 2 outings that really impressed me, and it was his 4th relief appearance in the majors Sunday afternoon in New York against the Yankees. Pitched an inning and a third. Just 19 pitches, and he struck out 1 batter. Then he had another start in September in New York. Picked up his 3rd big league win. Says Yasmani Grandal, they DH tonight. It's it into the seats on the right side.
That's always easy to do, isn't it? Go into New York in September and pitch well.
Well, I remember the Sunday afternoon in August. He had a lot of family and friends down at Yankee Stadium. He grew up in Rhode Island, so he had his entire family there, a lot of friends, and they got to see him pitch very well, albeit in a losing cause. But Thomas certainly pitched well, and that next time out was his first big league start. Breaking ball, 1 hop to Galvis. Easy double play. Easy inning for Thomas Pannone. Giving up a couple of hits and walked a batter, but so far, pretty impressive. Yeah, we'll lead things off for the Blue Jays here in the bottom of the second. He's had a 4-homer spring, and he's one of many Blue Jay hitters that have enjoyed a nice spring in the OPS department.
Don't you think he is just scratching the surface of the type of hitter he's going to be? I don't even think he knows the type of hitter he can be. Is he going to be a 20 home run guy? Is he going to be a 300 type of hitter? I think he has the ability to do both of those things. And the reason why is he can hit the ball to right field. If he's not going well, he can slow down that swing a little bit and shoot a ball to right field and then get that confidence going. And if he hangs something, he can turn on it and hit it in the left field for extra base hits. I think there's a lot more offensively to Lourdes Gurriel.
He goes after the first pitch, and Gurriel, 25 years old, first big league season a year ago. Got into 65 games, only had 249 at bats. Remember, he started in the minor leagues. He was called up, got sent back, and then spent 2 different stints on the DL. Last year it was the DL. This year it's the IL, the injured list.
What's the over and under of me calling it the DL this year?
Oh, about 35.
30. I think it's going to be higher than that. It's definitely going to be over. I mean, you can't change something that you've been doing your whole life, right?
There's a lazy fly ball in the center. Kane has it measured and makes the catch. Gurriel's retired. Yeah, I'm with you. It's been a DL for how many? 53 years for me.
Yeah. So sorry if I call it the DL this year.
It's
Hang
the
with
IL.
it.
I'm going to help you out.
All right.
So Gurriel's retired. Felt like he got a pitch to hit and got underneath it. Kendrys Morales will step in against Corbin Burns. Morales now 35 years old. He's had nearly 5,000 big league at bats in his career. That went off the catcher's mask. Manny Pena will be the backup catcher for the Brewers. He'll back up Yasmani Grandal, who signed as a free agent.
Erik Kratz was in camp all spring long, but he was told before camp that they were going to try and trade him or try and let him go to another team. He was just there, just getting himself into shape.
Had a great postseason, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Became a cult hero in Milwaukee with some big hits for the Brewers in the postseason.
They sent him over to San Francisco to be Buster Posey's backup.
Breaking pitch, he lays off. Morales is in the final year of a 3-year contract he signed with the Blue Jays. For his 2 years, he's hit 49 homers and driven in 142. That fastball beats him. He pops it up. That's Arcia, the shortstop, making the catch. Now they'll get back to a more traditional lineup as Shaw will return to third base. Morales is out on top of him.
That's what I mean about Arcia, that they want to take advantage of his athleticism and his defensive skill set to the max. He was the only guy on the left side of the infield. He had anything to that side. He's got some range. He's got some flair to him also.
Kevin Pillar batting with nobody on and 2 outs. Pillar had an interesting night last night. They were teasing him around the cage about his swing he took in an at bat. He fell to the ground, lost his balance. He said, "How'd you like that swing?" And then he had maybe the shortest RBI of the spring. Same swing right there. He said, "People thought I had my tennis shoes on because I wear tennis shoes in the outfield, but no, I've got my spikes on." He does again, but you can see he loses his footing and falls down again.
And to make matters worse, on that ball in the outfield that he caught, hit the ground and dropped, what did he say? Broke his chain?
Broke his chain, got a strawberry on his left arm, and dropped the ball. But he was in good spirits, laughing about it before the game. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Great swing by Pilar there on a tough pitch down and away. He gets a 2-out single. So Kevin's aboard.
He is a good low ball hitter. They wanted this ball up, but it's down right into a swing plane. That's a nice 2-strike under control swing to pick up the second hit of the Blue Jays tonight.
Boy, bottle that one up and take it to the regular season on Thursday. That was a great swing. Mark Budzinski, the first base coach, also he's the outfield coach, so he and Pilar have worked a lot together this spring. Catcher Danny Jansen in the 8th spot. Pilar doesn't have a stolen base attempt this spring. A year ago, Kevin, with 14 steals, caught just 3 times. Jansen fouls it straight back. We mentioned Danny Jansen, 23 years old, one of the top prospects in the system. He's going to be the regular catcher for the Blue Jays this year. Charlie Montoya plans on using him almost every day. Luke Maile will back up Danny Jansen. Danny can swing the bat. And he's got sneaky pop.
He's got some power. And I'll tell you, if he throws the way he threw last night, the Blue Jays are in good hands behind the plate for a few years.
All spring long, the Blue Jays catching core has thrown the ball very well. They've caught 40% of the base stealers all spring, and it was a real problem for them a year ago. They were near the bottom in shutting down the opponent's running game.
Made a great throw in last night's game to get this base stealer out at second base. He was very excited about that.
Got a breaking ball. He slaps foul into the seats. Kevin Biggio will join us top of the 3rd inning. We'll hear from him from the dugout and get his thoughts on a very good spring training, his first full spring training with the Blue Jays. Coming off a terrific year in Double-A last year. He will more than likely start the season in Triple-A Buffalo. But as you heard last night from Bo Bichette, you'll hear tonight from Kevin Biggio. Pilar with a good lead, not running. Pitch misses down and away. It's a ball and 2 strikes to Danny Jansen. There goes Pilar. Got a great jump. Throw from Pena is high, and they got him. Nice tag by Moustakas at second base. Nails Kevin Pilar trying to steal a base with 2 outs. Manny Pena guns him down to end the inning. Pilar gets a 2-out single. Quick tag by Mike Moustakas. I don't know. Looked like he might have beat it. Biggio will join us when we come back. Right-hander Javi Guerra will make his 9th appearance of the spring after Thomas Pannone had 2 innings of work. Guerra's had a good spring, and you can see his numbers. He has made an impression on his coaching staff. He'll work the 3rd inning, and as he gets ready, we'll talk to the young second baseman, Kevin Biggio. And Kevin, I know I call you second baseman, but they want to make you a utility player. Where are you most comfortable in the field?
I'd have to say second base. You know, I went to college at Notre Dame and played pretty much second base all throughout there. And, you know, first couple of years in minor league ball as a second base, started moving around a little bit.
Have the Blue Jays said anything to you, Kevin, about where they want you to play or what type of player they want you to be?
Yeah, I mean, they see me as predominantly an infielder, and they said for right now they want me to try and be to focus on the best second baseman that I can be. So so this camp, that's what I've been working on mostly.
Kevin, you had a terrific season a year ago in the Eastern League. You drove in at 99, you walked 100 times, and you scored 80 runs. The biggest number for me, 26 home runs. You had 11 as your previous high before that. What was the difference in the season with the long ball last year?
Yeah, I mean, after my first full season in high A, I went through some struggles going up and down, and I think after that season I went and made 2 mechanical adjustments. I lowered my hands a little bit, and I had a little bit more rhythm and timing to be more consistent. And I think that's where you see the long ball come in play, where my low hands kind of they developed. I had my natural high finish, so I was hitting a little bit more fly balls than usual. So I think my doubles in the gap ended up being home runs, and I think that's where you see that jump.
So it helped you to get the ball in the air a little bit more consistent and just a little bit more strength. But if you had to describe yourself, what type of hitter are you? Are you a home run hitter? Are you a doubles hitter? Are you a hitter that hits for high average?
I don't really see myself labeled as a type of hitter. I mean, I think I'm still developing and still trying to be the best hitter that I can be. And growing up in Houston, my dad being who he was, I always loved to watch Jeff Bagwell hit. And my dad speaks volumes of him. And
who didn't?
Yeah,
like
seriously,
watching him hit, right?
Yeah, and he was a guy that he hit for a high average, and he hit a lot of home runs. And one thing that he did that it's in my game is he walked a lot, and he took his walks and he got on base and stole bases when he could, and was able to score runs. And I think that's where you see that in my game. Just being able to watch him and when I was younger, growing up in Houston.
Kevin, the Blue Jays, of course, they've got Vladdy Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, and yourself. You're all second-generation professional baseball players. Your father, Craig Biggio, Hall of Famer, and a terrific player, catcher, second baseman, outfielder. He could play all over the diamond. Has that helped you being able to talk to him about playing in different positions?
I mean, just growing up, he said, your favorite position, what is it? And it's just on the field in the lineup, wherever you can play, wherever the coach needs you, wherever the team needs you, that's where you need to be. And, I've always seen myself being able to be one of those guys, especially watching my dad, doing it as I grow up. And, his advice to me really is he's really simple-minded when it comes to that kind of stuff. It's just, keep having fun with it. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, and, get as many reps as you can, especially in batting practice and whatnot, just so you can get more comfortable and get to the feel of the game. And, I just try and do that, in BP, get used to other positions and whatnot. So yeah.
Kevin, talk to me a little bit about your teammates in this respect. 2017, you were in Dunedin. You guys win it all. 2018, you're in New Hampshire. You win it all. What kind of culture are you building? What are your teammates like? What's it like moving up the list and winning?
I just have to go with one word there. It's fun. Everyone loves to win, and it's very hard to do that. And I think the word fun comes in place, and it's hard to do throughout the course of a long season. And, especially in New Hampshire last year, we had a bunch of good group of guys, and, we meshed really well together. But we also had a very good staff who took care of us, and, they were loose, and, they're open-minded to things. And I just think that's where you see, the word fun come in place. And it was a great year. I mean, we had our struggles towards the end and a little in the middle, but we took care of business, and we just had a lot of fun throughout the year and ended up winning the championship.
Well, Kevin, we want to wish you the best of luck this season and hope to see you real soon. Thank you for your time here tonight.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that's Kevin Biggio, great young prospect in the Blue Jays system. Coming fast, fans. Opening day 2019 on Thursday, and the first 45,000 fans entering Rogers Center get a Blue Jays t-shirt. The Tigers are in town to renew that old rivalry. The game starts at 3:37 p.m. Lots of good seats available, but don't get shut out. It's going to be the start of a new era for the Blue Jays. 2019 opening day. Take a day off of work. Head to BlueJays.com for your tickets and come on and join us. Opening day, Thursday afternoon at Rogers Center. Danny Jansen was at the plate when Kevin Pillar was thrown out at second trying to steal, so he'll get another kick at the can here. It'll be Jansen, Galvis, and top of the order, Brandon Drury. That sinking fastball is in there for a strike. Ball and a strike to the catcher. Jansen drives it in the air. Hernan Perez has just moved from left to right. Christian Yelich is out of the game. Perez makes the catch on the long drive to right. There's Perez in right. He started in left, and they have made some quick changes here. Milwaukee has. Corbin Burns checking with his first baseman to make sure he understands he's got the bag with the left-handed hitting Freddie Galvis at the plate. Galvis, the switch hitter, batting left-handed, batting in the 9th spot.
He had a great at bat last night. Found off a bunch of pitches before he hit that ball into center field. Knocked in some runs for the Blue Jays. If he can be that type of pesky hitter down at the bottom of the order, he's going to turn that lineup over a lot. And now you've got the RBI guys coming up with him on base.
Galvis is 29 years old. He's played all of his career except last year with the Philadelphia Phillies. Chases that hard breaking ball down and in. Galvis last season playing for the San Diego Padres hit .248. He had a career high 31 doubles and drove in 67 runs. If Galvis does that for the Blue Jays, the front office will be doing cartwheels.
And play the stellar defense that he can.
Fouls off that pitch. You mentioned that tough at bat last night. That came in the 2nd inning. He fouled off several pitches with 2 strikes and got an RBI single to center. Galvis starting the season with a consecutive game streak of 325 consecutive games played. That's the longest streak in the majors. But before he signed with the Blue Jays, Charlie Montoyo told him, "You're not going to play every game here. I'm going to make sure you're rested." Fouls off another tough pitch.
Here, this is the same type of at bat that he had that we were just talking about. These kind of hitters have to drive pitchers crazy. He was in the 2nd inning, fouled off a couple of pitches, and then got himself a hit to drive in a run. Choking up on that bat just a little bit. Make sure you got some back control.
2-2 pitch. Swings and misses. Burns wins that battle as he strikes out Galvis. 2 away. 4th strikeout of the ball game for the big right-hander Corbin Burns. So that'll turn the lineup over. Here's that last pitch.
Oh, had a little late movement on it. Look on him as he maintains his stuff throughout the game with plus control. And tonight he has shown some plus control. He hasn't walked a batter, and he's got 4 punch-outs.
Last season in 38 innings with the Brewers, he had 11 walks and 35 strikeouts. He's around the plate.
Batters hit just 199 against him.
As we mentioned, he picked up a win in the division series last year against the Rockies. Pitching in relief, he went 4 innings, allowed just 1 hit and struck out 5. In the postseason, he was one of those electric dudes.
Yeah, coming out of the pen. Well, they made an effort right at the end of spring training to say, okay, we're going to let our young pitchers pitch for us this year.
He's a good fastball, strike ball. I like the way he works quickly. And when you got that kind of stuff, why wouldn't you? Strike 3. 5 strikeouts now for Corbin Burns. He gets Brandon Drury looking on the outside corner. Still no scores. We head to the 4th.
Well, good news for the Blue Jays and Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who is progressing down in Florida. He is swinging the bat back in Dunedin and getting some cage work in as he rehabs the oblique injury that sidelined him a little more than 2 weeks ago. Now, Guerrero is not yet playing in minor league games as he recovers. His schedule, extended spring training, then to Buffalo. Charlie Montoyo told us this today that Guerrero is, quote, ahead of schedule. So that is where baseball's #1 prospect is, Buck, 48 hours from opening day.
Well, ahead of schedule, and that's coming back from the injury, but he still has to get back to baseball, playing the game, having good at bats, being able to play in the field, run the bases. He's ways away from that yet. But he'll play an extended spring training and get his regular at bats to the point where they feel like he can play in back-to-back games, and then they'll shoot him up to Buffalo, and he'll get off to his minor league season in Buffalo.
That's one other thing that Charlie said. He said when he is ready, and no one knows what that is. You got to build up that endurance to play 9 innings. He will go to Buffalo, and he will play at Buffalo until he's ready.
Javi Guerra in his second inning of work. Guerra is 33 years old. Broken bat, little dribber to Richard Urena, who has come into the game. Urena throws him out, and then Perez grounds out to start the top half of the 4th inning. Urena taking over for Brandon Drury at third base. Guerra signed originally with the Dodgers. He is from Denton, Texas. He now makes his home in Scottsdale, Arizona. Last season, he pitched in Miami with the Marlins, got into 32 games with the Marlins, had a 1-1 record.
He's got major league experience. Not really sure if he's going to make this team or not. But if he goes down to AAA, I don't know what his contract stipulates, if he has an out clause or anything like that. But if he goes down there, it's always nice to have some major league experience waiting for you in AAA in case something happens with the big league team.
Jam flared off the bat of Aguilar. That's going to drop for a base hit. Grichuk plays it into the infield. A 1-out single for Aguilar.
Big man had a big year last year, but gets beat by that Guerra fastball. And when you hit those like that, you're running up the first base line. You're saying, "Get down, ball.
Get down.
I need this." He took an offer in last night's game.
Travis Shaw struck out on a Pannone fastball to end the top of the 1st. Shaw's going to play third base this year. They've made the decision to leave him at third base. That's his natural position. Last year he played a lot of second base for Milwaukee. Mike Moustakas, who is a natural third baseman, will be their second baseman.
They then picked up Jonathan Scope, who played some second base, and I think Travis played some third, and Moustakas played some short at some points during the year last year, the last month or so of the season. It's a case of having too many at bats.
Well, it got him to the postseason, and that's what they were trying to do. Shaw played 39 games at second, 17 games at first, and 107 games at third. You know, he is penciled in to be the everyday third baseman. There's a good breaking ball from Guerra. Shaw began his career with the Boston Red Sox. Played parts of 2 seasons in Boston. This will be his 3rd year in Milwaukee.
Red Sox wanted to shore up their bullpen, and they had Rafael Devers coming up behind him, so they thought Travis Shaw was expendable. Tyler Thornburg, the relief pitcher from Milwaukee, went to Boston. Travis Shaw, and I think it's safe to say the Brewers got the best of that one.
Thornburg pitched just 25 games last year for Boston after missing the entire 17 season with an injury. Javi Guerra with a 2-2 count, looking for a double play ball. Ball missed downstairs. Blue Jays trying to figure out how they're going to fill out their bullpen. Guerra is in the mix. He was a guy that pitched well early on and caught the attention of Pete Walker, the pitching coach. High breaking ball. They tried to get Shaw last night with a high fastball. He had a 3-run home run. But the breaking ball got him there.
That didn't work, so let's try a high breaking ball. I don't think he meant to throw it up there. The target was down. But he still comes out with a strikeout.
Not every mistake gets hit. 2 outs now. Here's Mike Moustakas. Moustakas had a bunt single his first time up, leading off the top of the second. Here jumps ahead with a good heater.
Yeah, you were talking about how that'll straighten out the defense. Well, look at the defense now. You've got Richard Urania, the third baseman, staying in a little bit more at third base. They're not as pronounced shifting towards the right side.
Off speed pitch. He's way out in front. 0-2. Moustakas is now 30 years old. A former first-round pick of the Royals in 2007. Terrific high school player. He was drafted as a shortstop. He spent 8 years with the Royals and then came over to Milwaukee midseason last year to help the Brewers down the stretch. Popped up and headed towards the seats.
We had a chance to visit with Mike yesterday before the ball game. He was telling us how much he loves playing in Milwaukee. Loves the ballpark, loves the people, loves his teammates. He says we have so much fun. Says it's a close-knit group. Winning will do that.
Yeah.
Bring you together.
It sure does. And the two cities are very similar. A couple of Midwest cities, Kansas City and Milwaukee, and they both have the similar lifestyle for sure. And a great fan base. Bouncing ball might have been tipped by the pitch here. Moustakas is thrown out. That ends the inning. Good outing for Javi Guerra. Still no score.
He's feeling on time, at the plate, and healthy. Now, important for Grichuk, staying through the middle of the field. He's noticed righties have a tendency to pull off the ball in and out of the zone quickly. And he was finding he was in that place last April when he struggled. It was then that he worked with Kendrys Morales, and both of them did drills staying through the middle of the field, and it continued in the offseason. Grichuk told me, I never felt like I was lost or pulling off other than a swing here and there. And over the winter, even on days when he wasn't feeling like going to the cage, Buck, Grichuk did. He said he wants to have his body trained to be in the right rhythm on a consistent basis.
Well, that's what everybody's looking for, that consistency and that even keel that you have. Just stay even keel throughout the season. Randall really wanted to get off to a great start last year, and I think he just put too much pressure on himself. I think he's going to have a great season this year.
I do too. Switched leagues last year, so it took him a while to get used to the pitching in the American League. Everything was new for him last year. And then coming to a new team, you want to impress. You want to do something, and you start trying just a little bit harder. Tell you what, though, second half of the year, he got into a nice groove offensively and defensively. Really started driving the ball.
Got a battle now, 0-2. Off the end of the bat. Pitcher will take it and go to first base to retire. Grichuk one away. One unassisted for the first out here in the top of the fourth. Bottom of the fourth, excuse me. Well, Corbin Burns has done a nice job here. He's held the Blue Jays to no runs on just 2 hits. Blue Jays pitchers have equaled that. No runs on 3 hits. Thomas Pannone started. Javi Guerra has gone 2 very good innings. He's allowed a hit. Pannone allowed 2. Big breaking ball to Hernandez for a ball. That's going to be out of play. Next half inning, we're going to be joined in the booth by Richard Griffin, who is now the PR director for the Toronto Blue Jays, formerly of the Montreal Expos. Been a long time here in Montreal. So Richard Griffin will join us in the booth, and we'll get his thoughts about baseball returning to Montreal, about his days with the Expos, and about his role now with the Blue Jays. Hard cutter down and away for a ball. Corbin Burnes is having a pretty good outing here to wrap up his spring training. That's popped up and playable. Eric Thames in at first base now. Makes the catch in right field. 2 away.
Saying, don't worry, young man. That's one of their top prospects. Here's the Ura saying, I got it over there. Don't worry about it. Thames, he's a first baseman. He's played some outfield, and he DH'd in last night's game.
Well, that pop-up is going to be the final out for Corbin Burnes as he is out of the ball game. Good outing for Burnes as he goes 3 2/3. Have a pitching change here in Montreal. No score. Brewers and the Blue Jays. Ben Nicholson Smith and Arden Zwelling are back with another season of Sportsnet's Blue Jay podcast, At the Letters. Find At the Letters wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure you check it out. They do a great job of keeping you up to date on everything around the Blue Jays and baseball in general. Ben Nicholson Smith and Arden Zwelling. New pitcher for Milwaukee is Miguel Sanchez. Pitching in his 6th game of the spring. He comes in with 2 outs and nobody on.
Sanchez pitched over 3 levels last season. Advanced A, AA, and AAA. Now, when you combine those stats, he's another one of those fireballers coming out of that bullpen. Got into 34 games, totaling 64 to third innings, had 95 punch-outs.
Where do they get these guys?
I don't know, but it seems like every team has like a dozen of them.
And they all throw 100. First pitch to Smoke. Smoke's got to be thinking, yeah, here, give me my final at bat of the spring. Some hard throwing kid that I have no idea what he throws. Looked like a splitter there that ran off the plate outside. Looks like he came back with the same pitch.
He's just 25 years old, 6'3", 190 pounds, nice loose arm. It all looks like it really explodes out of his hand.
Smoke got a piece of it, and I know exactly what he's thinking. Man, this is not the way I want to finish up spring training. Battling this guy. I got to deal with Jordan Zimmerman in the opener on Thursday afternoon. I have no idea what Miguel Sanchez throws. Sanchez in his 4th professional season from the Dominican Republic. He has been primarily a reliever in his career. 84 games, just 2 starts. Another splitter pulled on the ground. That is Hira way out in the outfield. He throws to first. That ends the inning. We've played 4 complete here in Montreal. Now let's send it back to Jamie Campbell and Joe Siddle for a Blue Jays Central update.
All right, Buck, thank you very much. Here is Joe pointing out something that Thomas Pannone will want to work on as he tries to embark on a lengthy major league career.
With a runner on second base, the pitcher's got to be careful to hide the baseball in his glove a little bit. With a changeup grip, you're going to see a pitcher put a lot more of his hand on the baseball. That's a general, pretty well a changeup grip right there. When he goes to his curveball or his fastball, you're going to bring your fingers closer together, and that's where you have to be very careful, because with a runner on second base, if you come set in your glove, your hand is being exposed to that runner. If he can see that grip, if he sees a lot of your hand, he's going to know and be able to possibly relay that signal to the hitter. If he sees those fingers come close together, it's going to be a fastball or curveball. Young pitcher, good job tonight, but something to be aware of.
We exposed the season opener on Thursday and cannot wait. We'll kick things off with Blue Jays Central at 2 Eastern, 11 Pacific time. Tim and Sid, an hour earlier than that. Marcus Stroman gets the nod in the opener against Detroit.
So far in this ball game, and Danny Barnes will be the 3rd Blue Jay pitcher to work here tonight. Barnes has gotten over a knee injury last year, and he's had a good spring. 3rd pitcher, as we mentioned, Pannone, Guerra, and now Danny Barnes. We are pleased to be joined now by Richard Griffin, who spent a lot of time here in Montreal. Richard, what's it like for you 23 seasons with the Expos, and tonight you're back. I'm sure you got to see a lot of family and friends here.
Yeah, a lot of friends, and a lot of the players that were involved in the celebration were part of my history here. 22 years with the Expos. During that time, a lot of players went through here, and a lot of good times. And it's amazing how you look around baseball, or I look around baseball, and see how many coaches and how many broadcasters and how many people who played in Montreal choose to remain in the game. And everyone I talk to says how much they enjoyed the experience.
What was so special about Montreal that they were able to develop so many great players over their history?
Well, it's like Toronto in that, you know, they're passionate fans, but they don't really bother you. You know, you can go out to dinner with your family and you don't get bothered. The broadcast numbers, even when the attendance was down at Olympic Stadium, the broadcast numbers showed the passion that the fans still had for the game on television and on radio. So I think it's the respect that the fans have for the players and the love they have for the game.
You spent some years here, Richard, and there were some great teams and some great moments. Talk about some of the best moments and talk about some of the tough moments.
Well, some of the best moments involved the teams from 79 to 82, and Steve Rogers is a big part of that. I still talk to Steve all the time about it, and he would challenge the 94 team, which everybody says was the best team in Expos history. He would challenge them with either the 80 or 81 teams and say it would be a great 7-game series. But those are the 93 and 94 with Felipe Alou, who's one of my 5 favorite men in the world, and the 79 to 82 seasons. Those were well supported. I mean, in those days, the National League only counted people who actually came into the ballpark. And the walk-up attendance at Olympic Stadium was higher than any in baseball. And we're seeing that here even in this series.
You know, Richard, you mentioned there was so many great players and coaches and managers that have come through here. Who stands out for you personally as a terrific player and a great person that you enjoyed working with during your time with the Expos?
Well, my favorite by far is... Well, not by far because there's so many, but my favorite is Moises Alou.
Really?
He was, you know, he had that disastrous Joe Theismann type ankle injury. He bounced back from that. He came up and rehabbed in Montreal, so I got to know him really well there. We would go to the gym, and then after going to the gym where he worked out, we'd go relax and have a couple beers. But I guess that wasn't part of his rehab program.
No, that's a pretty good part. I will vote for that.
But just the control and the passion that he played the game with, and the dignity that he showed opponents and his own teammates made him one of my favorites.
Okay, I have to ask you, were you here then? You mentioned 78 through 90 or 82. Blue Monday, were you here for that?
Oh my God!
I'm sorry to bring that up, but people talk about that here.
I still have not talked to Rick Monday, even when he came into town as a visiting broadcaster or a player. Somebody introduced me one time, and I turned my back and walked away.
I'm sorry.
I couldn't do it. I could not do it.
A great season and one swing of the bat. It ended tragically, really, for Montreal fans.
We talk about it with Steve Rogers all the time, and fans have gotten over that, and they forgive Steve.
You think about Montreal now, and the Blue Jays have enjoyed a lot of support when they've come here in the past, and there's talk now of expansion. What do you think, knowing this community, knowing Quebec in general, about the possibilities of baseball coming back to Montreal?
Well, I'm not writing anymore, so I'm seeing it more as an observer now. And I do believe that the right people are in place. Stephen Bronfman and Mitch Garber, and the money is in place. The plans for a stadium are in place. So there really would be no barrier, and the commissioner's office seems to support the candidacy of Montreal getting a franchise in expansion or relocation. So I think they've gone about it the right way. They haven't asked for a total 100% handout from the governments at any level. And they know what they're doing, because Stephen's father, Charles, of course, was the first owner of the Expos, and he went about it the same way. He defied his father. It was the first thing he did on his own, and Stephen Bronfman is following in his father's footsteps.
I think it would be a terrific franchise at this point in history not only because it would bring in this part of Canada into baseball with Boston and New York and all the teams in the Northeast, that you could put it in a division, and it would be a nice fit for me, in my mind, in the American League East. But Montreal and Toronto in the American League East, and then you'd have New York, Boston, and Baltimore along with Montreal. I think it'd be a terrific division.
But they would definitely need a new ballpark, and that would take a couple of years to build down in the basin near Griffintown. And it would be, I mean, Minnesota has showed that you can have an outdoor facility and still get your games in and get fan support. But, of course, putting a winning team on the field is what it's all about.
I didn't realize you were that big. They named part of Montreal after you.
I spent a lot of time everywhere.
Well, no, you see the excitement, and Monday and Tuesday it's a tough crowd to attract, but they've had 25,000 for a couple of nights here again, and it shows there is an interest, and certainly to have the name Brofman behind the organization certainly has to be a benefit.
Yeah, and I remember the moment where I thought it might be a possibility is that first year when
that stolen base and the ball gets away from both Galvis and Gurriel, as Jansen, he had a tough pitch to throw, man. He had to straight reach up high for it, and he never really got on top of the throw.
Yeah, it was the first time they played the exhibition series here, and the commissioner's office sent John McHale Jr. I thought that was appropriate, and he was impressed. That was when for 2 days, they drew 95,000 fans. And how could you not be impressed? As you pointed out before, it's 2 exhibition games. It's at the end of spring training. And then it was on a Friday and a Saturday, which made it more appealing for out-of-towners.
No Russell Martin, no Vladimir Guerrero Jr. this year. So this is a pretty good attendance for a Tuesday night. You talked about the stadium. Have you seen pictures of the stadium that they're proposing there? I saw pictures of the stadium in 1993.
I'm sure they've redone them since.
Yeah, they had to blow some dust off it, but yeah, the blueprints have pretty much stayed consistent in terms of the capacity, 30 to 35, 37,000, and a basic stadium. But if you have enough luxury suites, you can make it work. And if the team starts to play well, or if it's a relocation, you can make it work. So, it's exciting to think of a team coming back here, but I think it's, still a few years off.
They said it's a process, and Warren Cromartie started it a few years ago by getting people interested. Other people have gotten behind it. Now Brofman's behind it. It's still years away, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think Mark Shapiro said it best, that for expansion they have to have all 30 franchises healthy financially, and so far there's a couple that still have to get their house in order, and maybe new stadiums, and then expansion can be considered. So I don't think it's just around the corner.
Yeah, it's obviously a great city, and one of just a couple of cities in North America as big as Montreal that doesn't have a baseball team. So it's kind of interesting that it's going to be considered again. Talk about your transition now. You've gone from PR director to writing, back to PR director. Now, how has the transition gone for you so far?
I think it's almost like the elephant graveyard. Why do they go back to where they were born, So I've just come full circle, and I'm enjoying working with you guys, working with the media. I'm no longer on deadline.
That's a good thing.
And I'm really enjoying it. I think I'll look forward to and I believe in the direction of this franchise. I believe in the direction of young players coming in and doing the job and moving forward, and I want to be a part of it.
Well, we enjoy working with you as well, Richard, and thank you very much for your time. Good to have you on board, and we appreciate everything you do.
Thanks, guys.
That's Rich Griffin, as we still have a scoreless game. Bottom of the 5th here in Montreal. We continue to have pitching changes here in Montreal. This is right-hander Zach Brown taking over as he starts the bottom of the 5th. Just 3 games so far this spring. Still a scoreless ball game. There have only been 5 hits in this game. Quite a different game than last night's game. Richard Griffin did a nice job of explaining the history and some of the great moments that he enjoyed. Moises Alou.
Yeah.
His favorite player, and I got to know him obviously as they were rehabbing together after that horrific accident. And it was a base running play. Big wide turn around first. He planted his right foot. It gave way under the weight of his body, and he shattered his ankle.
You know, he said Felipe Alou is one of the top 5 people that he has known in this game. I wanted to ask him one more question. Where does Buck and Tabby fit in there?
Are we in the top 5?
Were we 3 and 4?
But I tell you what, it's been great to work with him so far this year, and I'm sure it's going to be great as we continue the course of the season. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. leading things off here in the 5th inning. Gurriel flying out to deep center field, his only time up.
Zach Brown was a starter in the minor league system for this team, so he's got some innings under his belt. Pitched over a couple of different leagues last season. Started in rookie ball, but then finished up in Double-A, where he went 9-1.
On the ground, big hop for the shortstop, across the diamond in time. Hernan Perez now playing at shortstop. Let's check in with Arash Madani.
Buck, really enjoy the conversation with you, Tabby and Griff. Here's what's interesting about Olympic Stadium as you think about the return of Montreal and the possibilities. This facility will be getting a $300 million upgrade in advance of the 2026 Men's Soccer World Cup. By FIFA guidelines, it has to be complete by the year prior. So, if there was a need to play in this building for a season or two prior to moving down to the Peel Basin in Montreal for the revival of big league baseball in this city, it would be an enhanced Olympic Stadium facility.
Now, that's interesting news, and obviously World Cup is going to come to North America, and they will have to upgrade this stadium. And they have, I believe they have hosted World Cups for the women here in Montreal. So the soccer would be the driving force behind the renovation. But this facility, of course, for the Olympics in '76, and Jeff Ross, who's traveling with us on this trip, talked about his time going to the Olympics when he lived here in Montreal. He started with the Blue Jays, I believe, in '78. Came over from Montreal.
Yeah, he started here.
Yeah.
He was part of the original 1969 Expos.
Ball in the dirt. 2 balls and 2 strikes, 1 out. Kendrys Morales with his second at-bat. Hot shot. Third baseman throws across the diamond in time to retire Morales. 2 away. Last hit for the Blue Jays was a Kevin Pillar 2-out single back in the 2nd inning. They only have 1 other hit, and that was Brandon Drury's leadoff single start to game. Zach Brown in his first inning of work. Let's see, first 2 batters he's faced. Kevin Pillar with a big swing. Nadorf is over at third base now. He entered the game as a pinch runner for Manny Pena. Pillar fouls it straight back. All these players, Pat, are anxious to get the season underway. Kevin Pillar has not had the type of spring he had a year ago. Last spring, Kevin hit .438 in the spring. He had 2 walks and 5 strikeouts all spring long. He had 21 hits and 48 at bats.
He was hitting leadoff last year at this time for the Blue Jays. Got off to a blistering start also in 2018. Tell you what, you're this part of spring training, you're like, okay, let's just get my last at bat in. Get on the bus, get on the plane, head out there. Let's play for real.
Breaking ball called, strike 3. Nice inning for Zach Brown. 3 up, 3 down with a strikeout. 5 in the books here in Montreal. Still no score. Spring training is always live with MLB At Bat. Follow the action through game day. Watch video highlights and track stats, standings, breaking news, and more. Download MLB At Bat now. It's your #1 Toronto Blue Jays app. Now, those fans, you can bet they've got the MLB At Bat app. Top of the 6th inning, still no score. And as we continue to wrap up this spring training ball game, we're pleased to be joined by the catcher for the Toronto Blue Jays, Danny Jansen. Janny, congratulations on a great spring.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
You've had a great spring. Tell us about the meeting with Charlie Montoya when he told you were going to make the team.
Yeah, walked into his office to check the schedule, and it was a nice change-up right there. Next thing you know, he told me that I'm on the roster. I made the team, and I couldn't stop smiling. He said, go celebrate with the family. The family wasn't here. They just left a couple of days prior, but I was able to call them and share that moment.
When did he do that? Was that recently?
About a week ago. Yeah, a little bit over a week ago.
So tell me, we were talking a little bit before the game today about the difference between last year and this year, where you are right now. What's the biggest change for you, the biggest difference?
I think like the comfortable level for me this year, having that time towards the at the end of the year, being up with a lot of the guys, getting comfortable with them and being able to work with them, go to battle with them, and understand the way they pitch, and coming into spring then, and a lot of those same faces. It's definitely a sense of comfort for me, and I feel like I fit in, and I'm ready to roll.
Danny, there have been an awful lot of the youngsters, even younger than you, in this clubhouse this spring, but it seems like everybody has been welcome into this spring, from the greenest of green rookies to the most experienced. Talk about the attitude of this ball club and how you sense it this year to compare to what you've seen in the past.
I just think the energy level's high, and there was a lot of young bodies mixed in with a lot of veteran guys that are going to get the job done. So everybody's anxious, everybody's excited. It's a younger clubhouse, yeah, but everybody's ready to work, and we're all ready to get going. Everybody's pulling for each other, and we're all excited.
Speaking of work, you guys put in a lot of work this spring over the fundamentals. Was that something that you think that you guys needed to do? Did that bring you guys closer together?
Yeah, I think we need to do that. As a team, we're going to be doing a lot of different things, and the repetition, you have to have it. And then with the catching standpoint, doing a lot of stuff with like throwing and blocking, and changing my setup a little bit. That's all stuff that I needed to do. So then once the game starts, it's just ready to roll. You're not thinking about anything.
Danny, one thing that you have learned about this spring is that wristband on your left forearm. It's an informational wristband that you will check during the course of a ball game. What types of things are on there? Obviously, we don't need to know specifics, but what are some of the things on there that you might look to during a game?
Yeah, it's a lot of different stuff. It's all kind of individualized. Everybody's a little bit different. So, for me, I kind of like to know if the guy's going to chase, kind of some ideas to get back into a count if we're behind. It's obviously not all of catching. You gotta have the feel with your pitcher, who's on the mound, and what they're doing, and how the game's kind of moving. But also, it's a kind of a point of reference if you need it. How big of an influence has Luke Maile been for you? Yeah, Luke's the man. I'm very happy and excited to be with him. I'm a big fan of 2-1. He's an awesome dude, good catcher, and I'm just looking to pick his brain. And we're ready to go.
Danny, congratulations on a great spring, and we'll see you opening day.
Thanks, guys.
That's Danny Jansen, the Blue Jays catcher, 2019 opening day. Thursday afternoon. The game starts at 3:37, but the coverage on Sportsnet begins at 1 p.m. Eastern time. The Tigers are in town to open up the 2019 schedule for the Blue Jays. It all starts, as we mentioned, 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Jamie Campbell, Joe Siddle, the entire cast will be aboard, and it'll be a terrific day to launch the 2019 season, so make sure you check it all out right here on Sportsnet. Eric Sogard gets an at bat here as he's batting in the catcher's spot. Hitting in the 8th spot, Danny Jansen. Just one at bat, played 5 innings tonight. Pitchers have shut down the offense dramatically tonight, Pat.
Both teams very impressed with what Milwaukee has thrown out there tonight, and Burns, Sanchez, and Brown. Equally impressed with Pannone, his 2 innings. Avigura and Danny Barnes, 2 innings each. Very impressive.
There's a strike from Brown.
little bit different than what we saw in last night's game. A lot of offense.
Last night it was a slugfest. Pitchers weren't answering the phone in the bullpen. 10-5 Milwaukee in last night's game. There were 20 hits in that game. So far tonight, just 5, and there's another strikeout. 7 strikeouts for the Brewers so far. We've had a good couple of days here. Last night we interviewed Bo Bichette. Tonight we got a chance to talk to Kevin Biggio, who's come into the game to play left field. This is the shortstop, Freddie Galvis, getting his second at bat. He struck out back in the 3rd. Bo Bichette looks like he's getting ready to come into the game. Patrick Cantwell, the catcher, to his left. He has entered the game.
Starters are all going to get one at bat and then out of the ball game, and that's already started. Chance to see some of the young players that the Blue Jays have put together in their farm system.
The catcher for the Brewers is Tuffy Goswitch. He is back behind the plate, taking over from Manny Pena. Galvis hitting in the 9th spot to start the season, and a little bit different for him. He's a guy that's always hit top part of the batting order, first or second most of the time, but it's an adjustment, and he's been a National Leaguer his entire career, so he's batting in the 9th spot. If he has the type of production he had a year ago, that'll be a terrific upgrade in the number 9 spot in the lineup. Well, he hangs tough, doesn't he? 2-strike battling.
I have to look at some of his stats, but it doesn't look like a guy who's going to strike out a lot. He's going to put the ball in play, shorten it up, try to make life difficult for that pitcher.
Ripped into right field over the second baseman's glove. Another good at bat for Galvis. If that's his last at bat, he'll end up on a positive note in spring training. And that'll do it. And here comes Bo Bichette to pinch run. Well, Bichette will take over for Galvis, who ripped a base hit into right field to wrap up his spring.
See, now he can think about that now for the next 48 hours. How good this swing feels. Fastball down and away. Freddie rips it to right field. Keep thinking about that all the way till Thursday afternoon, how good that feels.
How good that sounded. Had terrific sound as he squared it up. Richard Urania. Bichette can run at first. Coming off the bench, and he has all the tools. He's got speed, he's got power, he's got the hit tool, and he can play defense.
You know what else he has? He's got that will to be better. Get out there, work as hard as you can. I spent some time down at the minor leagues on last Friday. It looks like he wants to run.
Got a big lead now. Not running. Cut on and missed.
But I was over at the minor league field last Friday at 5:30. Who was the only player in the locker room? Bo Bichette was there. It looked like he was going over some film, or he was doing something there. And I stayed there for about 45 minutes, and he was still there. After the teams had played and they were all gone, he was still at the ballpark.
He looks anxious now, like he wants to run. Bichette had 32 stolen bases last year in Double-A. He's had double-digit steals in each of his last 2 seasons.
That's a nice aggressive lead. Good
in
aggressive.
2017, he had 22 steals in 2 different levels.
Getting faster. But he's doing it right. He's getting out there, 1 foot on the turf, and it's a step and a dive to the outside part of the bag.
Swinging a drive to right field. That ball is hooking toward the seats, and it'll land foul into the seats. Urania pulled it foul.
Brown has shown a pretty good breaking ball. If he's going for the strikeout, this would be the time to use that curveball. It's also a great time if you're thinking about stealing to try and get into scoring position.
No score in this game. He dives back in ahead of the throw. The hits are even at 3 apiece. Blue Jays have 3 singles. The Brewers with 3 singles. Called strike 3. Urania is called out on strikes. Right at the knees. Eight strikeouts now for Milwaukee. Randall Grichuk coming to the plate for the 3rd time tonight. Grichuk did not play in last night's game. 0 for 2 with a strikeout. Another throw to first, another dive back in safely.
Oh, I love the confidence that you see from a young player to get out there as far as he is getting out there.
He shortened up that time.
Yeah,
he was on the dirt both times.
Looked like Mark Budzinski, the first base coach, went over and said something to him. And he shortened up his lead just a little bit.
Breaking ball off the end of the bat.
Well, the message must have been, hey, let Grichuk hit. There's 2 outs. Don't get picked off. Shorten up your lead. Let's let Randall go ahead and swing it.
Looking across the diamond to Louis Rivera. Check on whether or not he's got the green light. I'm surprised he hasn't run yet.
I thought he would run last batter. Get 2 shots to try and score that runner from second base.
Strike 2. Ball and 2 strikes. Outfield is relatively deep here. Bichette with great speed. Upstairs, 2-2. And Grichuk looking to get off to a great start to the regular season. It's jammed and rolls it up the third base line. Nice play by Orth. What a good play by Nate Orth, the third baseman, to throw out Randall Grichuk and end the bottom of the 6th inning. 6 in the books here in Montreal. Still no score. This spring training finale. Brewers and Blue Jays. Justin Schaefer will be the 4th Blue Jay pitcher to work this afternoon. The Blue Jays pitchers, like the Brewers pitchers, have had the upper hand on the hitters here tonight. Schaefer making his 9th appearance of the spring. Just 2 walks against 11 strikeouts for Schaefer.
From Lake Wales, Florida, home of Pat Borders. Justin Schaefer got some time with the Blue Jays last year. Pitched in 6 games, 8 1/3 innings. Did not have the command that he wanted to, but I think he showed that he's got a pretty good arm. Sinker slider type of pitcher. When he keeps the ball down, he's going to get a ton of ground ball outs. Good things are going to happen to him when he throws quality strikes. Sinker slider guy. He's been working on his slider in camp.
That might have been the slider to get ahead of the first batter, Gamble. Gamble came into the game defensively in right field. He's batting in the 5th spot in the lineup. Travis Shaw had a couple of bats, struck out both times.
Schaefer's ERA in the minor leagues last year, 1.13. Those are the kind of guys that go under the radar. You don't hear about them. Then all of a sudden you look up and you look at their numbers. A 1.13 earned run average. Not a lot of hits given up.
Plays it into left field. Kevin Biggio plays on a couple of hops and gets it back in. Boy, that was a tennis lob, if you will. Opposite field base hit for Ben Gamble to start the 7th. Defensively, the Blue Jays have made some changes, and you can see Biggio's in left field, Roman Fields is in center, and Josh Palacios is in right. Bichette's at shortstop, Sogard's at third. Urena has been in the game at third base, as has Billy McKinney. Now Patrick Cantwell behind the plate as well, handling Justin Schaefer. There goes the runner. The throw is short of the mark, but a good tag by Sogard. Oh, what a tag. That ball thrown by Cantwell bounced on the turf, and Sogard, the veteran, just calmly picked it, one hopped and tagged out the runner.
Brewers are going to play a hit and run on the first pitch. Batter misses it, and then Cantwell very quickly gets it back there, but the whole play was made by Sogard on the other end. That turf bounced right to him and quickly slaps that tag right on the foot of Campbell to get that first out.
Popped in the air, left side of the diamond. Bo Bichette, the shortstop, out into the outfield, calls for it, makes the catch. What a turnaround. Blue Jays catchers overall have thrown the ball well, but that one, and Cantwell will tell you, that was all on Sogard. The veteran got to the bag in a hurry, set up, and he was able to make the catch on that low throw, and then slapped the tag on Gamble to retire him.
It was a really tough ball to throw on. Looked like an off-speed pitch down in the dirt. It was a swing and miss as they tried to hit and run. But he stayed with it, made a good toss.
This is Nate Orr, who came in the ball game as a pinch runner back in the 5th inning after Manny Pena drew a leadoff walk. Schaefer, 26 years old. As Pat mentioned, he's from Central Florida, Lake Wales, not far from Dunedin. Went to the University of Florida, pitched collegiately at University of Florida. Last year got in 6 games with the Blue Jays.
Ball has a lot of movement on it. A lot of movement on it. That's what you want to see.
A couple guys that really haven't drawn much attention. Schaefer's one of them, and another one you kind of overlook a bit is Danny Barnes. Danny Barnes wasn't healthy last year. He was trying to pitch through a knee issue. He's addressed that, and he's got good bite on his pitches now. Change up his back, throwing a little more slider.
He looked like he was playing on one leg last year with the knee injury.
Couldn't drive through that front side, and it really kept him from throwing effectively. He's an interesting guy as well. Off the plate for ball 4. A 2-out walk. This is Weston Wilson, who played a little bit first base last night. Wilson batting in the DH spot. Yasmani Grandal got a couple of at-bats, went over to.
Orf had a stolen base his last time he was on base and went to third on the air.
Ball in the dirt.
Not a bad time for him to try and steal right here.
Not running. Hit on the ground through the left side for a base hit. Wilson with a 2-out single, or stops at second. So that's the second hit off of Schaefer this inning. He also has issued a walk, got himself into a bit of a jam here in the 7th.
2 outs this ball. Watch Bo Bichette, the shortstop, go after this ball, dive for it, and his arm gets stuck underneath him. That could have been scary. Last couple of innings of spring training, and one of your top prospects lays out like that.
Tuffy Goswitch getting his first plate appearance. He entered the game defensively behind the plate.
He looks like he's okay.
Justin Smoke had a similar situation last night on a ball hit down the first base line. He went to grab for it, and the glove stuck in the turf, kind of jammed his thumb a bit. And his right hand as he reached for that hot shot. That was the double off Mike Moustakas' bat. Fly ball into right. Josh Palacios is there. That'll end the inning. Milwaukee leaves a couple aboard. Schaefer gets out of it. It's still scoreless. Headed to the bottom of the 7th. Thursday afternoon, opening day, March 28th. The Blue Jays will take on the Detroit Tigers. The first 45,000 fans entering Rogers Center get a Blue Jays t-shirt. The Tigers are in town, and the game starts at 3:37 p.m. Lots of good seats available. So take the day off work. Come on down and join us at Rogers Center. Head to BlueJays.com for tickets. And you get a look at Marcus Stroman for the first time. Boy, he's had a great spring. He is really throwing the ball well. He'll be matched up against the veteran Jordan Zimmerman.
Pete was raving about him today when we were talking about him. His ball moving, is moving all over the place. He's pumping that ball in there. It should be exciting.
Stroman last year had a shoulder issue and just tried to pitch through it. And Billy McKinney tries to start the inning with a bunt base hit. But Stroman throwing a great curveball once again, and that's what he did so well when he first came to the big leagues. He could really spin the breaking ball, and he's got a good fastball. He can pitch upstairs now, and as we mentioned, that has really become a very positive approach for pitchers. Four-seam fastball up and that good hard breaking ball curveball.
Why not? When you've got a good sinker and you've got that ground ball pitch in you, why don't you change the eye level at times?
Billy McKinney lifts it high into the air in shallow right. That's Ben Gamble, the right fielder, makes the catch. You take a look at the holdover starters, if you will, in the rotation. Marcus Stroman had a great spring. His numbers were very impressive, and he was very dominant. Same can be said for Aaron Sanchez. His ERA was 1.53. Aaron is healthy. No concerns whatsoever about the finger. Boy, if these two guys can pitch up to their capabilities, that'll certainly take a lot of pressure off the rest of the rotation.
It's a good start. It's a good 1-2 punch, and the only reason they're not throwing game 1 and game 2 back to back, they're similar type of pitchers, sinkers with great breaking balls and a lot of speed. Charlie Montoya wanted to break them up and put a veteran, Matt Shoemaker, in between them, a little different type of pitcher, just to give the Detroit Tigers something different to think about.
This is Kevin Biggio playing in left field. Goes after that pitch and pulls it foul. I mentioned Biggio had a terrific season in Double-A. Drove in 99, walked 100 times, and scored 80 runs. And oh, by the way, he hit 26 home runs. 15 more home runs than his previous career high.
MVP of the league in Double-A, will move up and play in Triple-A this season.
Well, just think about it. You made a great point about the Blue Jays winning. Won in Dunedin in 17. They won in Double-A in 18, and they're going to have a terrific team in Buffalo this year.
That's that core group that have been together now for 3 straight seasons down in the minor leagues, and they win. Wherever they go, they win.
There's a real good chance that the pitching rotation in Double-A is going to be an all-star caliber pitching rotation. NC Diaz, Hector Perez, Willie Ortiz. They've got a chance to have some real hard throwers. Patrick Murphy more than likely will be at Double-A, and eventually I would expect that Nate Pearson's going to end up at Double-A. Pearson, of course, injured last year, had his time really cut down. But I would think that Pearson probably will start at Dunedin in the Florida State League, get off to a good start, and they'll elevate him quickly. He could come fast, folks.
And that could be some pitchers there who are definitely major league quality type of pitcher. And I think once you get to Double-A and you prove that you can win in Double-A, you can make the jump, to the major leagues. It happens all the time.
Full count to Kevin Biggio. Breaking ball, he fouls it off. I mentioned the improved season for Biggio. He hit .252 for the season. And we asked him about where he was most comfortable defensively, and he projects himself as a second baseman. And when you think about the possibilities, when Vladdy Guerrero gets healthy, it could be Guerrero at third, Bichette at short, Biggio at second, and Rowdy Tellez at first. A young, very up-and-coming infield in Buffalo.
Tell you what, the fans are going to be excited about that team. Heck, the fans in Toronto might want to go down there while the team's out of town and go see what they have, see what's coming.
Good at bat for Biggio as he works the walk. Now Biggio's aboard with a one-out walk here in the seventh. Patrick Cantwell will get his first plate appearance. Cantwell, the catcher, hitting in the fifth spot in his batting order. Cantwell, for the spring, playing in his 14th game. Interesting that Cantwell is 28 years old. He'll turn 29 on the 10th of April. The Blue Jays kind of got some surprising news late in the spring when Max Pentecost decided to walk away and contemplate another career. He was penciled in to be the starting catcher at Double-A New Hampshire. So there's going to be some shuffling, and Cantwell might be the guy that starts off there.
Well, I'll tell you, they traded away a lot of catchers just a few seasons ago. It seemed like they had a lot of good young catchers and they got rid of them. But they've restocked the farm system with some young catchers. I mean, they're a few years away. But from all indications, talking to some of the coaches who coached them this past summer, there's some major league talented catchers coming up through that organization again.
High breaking ball right at the top of the zone. Dennis Holmberg, the longtime manager in the minor leagues, was at Bluefield last year, and they had two young catchers that put up great numbers offensively. There's a base hit to left field, and Biggio will stop at second. We talk about some of the young prospects knocking on the door, and look at the youth movement that's going on with the Blue Jays. Elvis Luciano, the 19-year-old reliever. Vladdy Guerrero's 20, Bo Bichette's 21. And there are a lot of talented players, and it's not just one or two, but they've got a core of young players working their way through the minors.
Yeah, drafting them. And here comes another one right there. This is Kevin Smith, who's going to pitch hit for Kendrys Morales, just 22 years old. He put it all together last year. 20 home runs and 20 stolen bases last year between Lansing and Dunedin. I'd put him in Double-A, which I think they are. They're going to play him at shortstop and second base this year. Push him up.
The two catchers in Bluefield, Alejandro Kirk and Gabriel Moreno, 19 and 18 years old respectively, and they put up big numbers. Kevin Smith with a good cut. Smith played collegiately at the University of Maryland, and he is a very advanced player. Defensively, he can really play short. Strong arm, great hands, good range.
Yeah, that's his calling card, defense. And his offense seemed to catch up with him last season. This is great experience for him in this situation. I mean, this has got a feel. This has a feel of a major league game, like a midseason game. The crowd's getting into it. You're in a big ballpark. It's great experience for the young kids to come up here.
This will be the third season in professional ball for Kevin Smith. Takes that inside pitch. Smith last year at 2 different levels. Started out at Lansing in the Midwest League, ended up at Dunedin. He combined hit 25 home runs. He also had 29 stolen bases. That's a great combination. And oh, by the way, 31 doubles. Breaking ball foul out. But Smith is one of the guys that really leads the way in the minor leagues as far as being a team leader. Of course, he played in college, so he's a little more advanced in his maturity level. But in the offseason, the Blue Jays took a bunch of their minor league players down to Fort Bragg and had them train with the Army. And Kevin Smith was one of the guys that really talked about how that taught them teamwork and leadership. Chases that breaking ball. Second out of the inning, he strikes out. But there are a host of young players that you're going to hear more and more about as the years go on. And you're going to see a lot of them in the big leagues this year and next year and the years that follow. Blue Jays have done a nice job restocking their minor league system. Roman Fields played 100 games in Buffalo last year. There are so many sports reference outlets now. One of the real popular ones is Bleacher Report. Bleacher Report does a survey on the 30 minor league systems, and according to Bleacher Report, Blue Jays are third in Major League Baseball, behind San Diego and Atlanta.
Both of those organizations, San Diego, Atlanta, loaded. Byproducts of having some bad teams for a few years and getting some high draft picks. Some shrewd trades have also helped them out to restock the farm system. Blue Jays have done it the old-fashioned way. They've just had some draft picks and they've hit on them. And the scouts have found some talented players in rounds 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, whatever it takes, and starting to filter the way to the big leagues.
Fields hits it on the ground up the middle. Nice play by Hira, but not in time. Bases are loaded. Infield single for Fields.
That's his game right there. Speed. You don't have to hit it hard. Just hit it into a spot where they can't field it and get you. No chance to get that runner at second base. So he has to make the off-balance throw. Can't get enough on it. And when you can run like Roman Fields, you're going to beat this out every single time as he gets himself an infield hit. It's another, excuse me, Buck, another aspect that I've seen the Blue Jays concentrate on and the players that they are starting to draft. Lots of athletes with a lot of speed, guys with tools who can do different things.
Good outfielder, good speed, and that's one thing that has been desperately thin in the Blue Jays for the last several years is running speed. They haven't had too many great athletes. So Eric Sogard, the veteran, will get his chance here with 2 outs, chance to drive home the only runs of the game. Scoreless ball game, bottom of the 7th inning. Hits are even at 5 apiece. First pitch is downstairs for ball one. Zach Brown still in the ball game, the third Brewer pitcher to work here. Corbin Burns started, followed by Miguel Sanchez. Now Zach Brown. Ground ball up the middle. Go to second. It is dropped. 1 run in, 2 runs in, and the Blue Jays have the lead. Boy, Fields really hustled to second base and really put the pressure on the defense. So Sogard will be credited with an infield hit and 2 RBIs.
Well, they can't get him at first base. They're not going to get him at second base either. He's just too fast. I think here the second baseman had flashbacks of Fields running to first base. So he said, I'm going to try the short route this time. And the overthrow, it doesn't have to go very far, but if you're running hard like Patrick Cantwell did, you can score from second base when the ball doesn't even leave the infield. Off the glove of Perez, and Blue Jays take the lead.
2-0 Blue Jays. Has actually scored an error, but I think because of the speed of Fields, it made it a bang-bang play. You could give Sogard a base hit on that. Here is Bo Bichette. Bichette entered the game as a pinch runner in the 6th inning. This is his first plate appearance. Had a terrific spring, 421 in 19 games. Up out of play. Do you think Bo Bichette's thinking anything at all about Vladdy Guerrero hitting a walk-off home run last spring?
Trying to top that.
He was one of the guys that celebrated as much as anybody, coming out of the dugout, punching a fist in the air to celebrate the walk-off home run. Listen to the crowd. Bo Bichette. 1-2. Breaking ball. Called strike 3. That'll end the inning, but the Blue Jays scored 2. We'll take a 2-0 lead to the top of the 8th.
They chanted his name late in the 7th, and now Bo Bichette has occupying the shortstop position here in the top of the 8th at Olympic Stadium. You know, going into the winter, Bichette knew there was plenty to improve on defensively. So every day, he and some pals, even some teammates, once upon a time, his father would even join in. They went out to his old high school, and they took a lot of ground balls and made a ton of throws just to get reps. Bichette explained, I just hadn't done it. So this winter, he wanted to refine. From a defensive standpoint, Bichette knew he needed to use his feet more and working through the ball before catching it. The more reps he did, the more he figured out what worked for him. And Bichette told me today, I've always known that I can be a big league shortstop and a real good one. He said this spring, I feel I am a big league shortstop and a pretty good one. Buck?
Can't argue with that. What we've seen so far this spring, he's made some terrific defensive plays. This is Corey Spangenberg facing Connor Fisk. First pitch bounced to the first baseman, Billy McKinney. 1 pitch went out here in the 8th.
Connor Fisk will pitch in the bullpen in Buffalo this season. 2 levels last season. There are his numbers. Fastball, curveball type of pitcher. He got called up to Buffalo and didn't give up a run his first 8 games when he got called up to Buffalo last season. 8 wins in the Florida State League a couple of seasons ago.
It's kind of a neat opportunity for Connor Fisk as he grew up in Brown Deer, Wisconsin, a suburb of Milwaukee. Chance to face his hometown team. Pitching for a hold right here in this 2-0 game. This is Corey Ray, the center fielder.
He went 14 consecutive appearances beginning of the season without giving up a run, before he gave up 2 at Columbus. Got to keep the ball down, lower part of the strike zone. That slider really works when he's down.
He's 26 years old. He pitched at University of Southern Mississippi. And he walks the leadoff, or excuse me, walks the man with 1 out here. So 1 out walk here in the 8th inning. That'll bring the tying run to the plate. Hernan Perez has gone the distance tonight. He is their utility player. He's played all over the field literally tonight. He has started in left field. He moved to right field. Then he went to third base, and then he went to shortstop. That's what he is liable to do in the course of a regular season game. Good breaking ball for a strike. 1-1. There's a strike right at the bottom of the zone for strike 2.
Stay right there. Stay there, get a ground ball, get out of here. One of the players added to the roster for this trip for some backup pitching. Blue Jays used 10 pitchers last night. So Connor Fisk gets a shot tonight. There you go.
It's a strikeout. Strikes out Hernan Perez.
Basically, again, fastball, curveball. This looks like his curveball backs up on him just a little bit, but it's enough to pick up the strikeout. Good showing tonight here in Montreal.
Couple of outs. He walked a batter and got a strikeout. So his trip to Montreal is coming to an end. We'll have a pitching change. Blue Jays with a 2-0 lead. Is one of patience and perseverance, but who exactly is Charlie Montoyo? Make sure to tune in to Sportsnet on Sunday for Niña de Oro, the inspiring story of Charlie Montoyo, a fascinating behind-the-scenes look at the Blue Jays' new manager. Check it out Sunday, March 31st. Great story. Charlie Montoyo, after 18 years in the minor leagues, managing almost 3,700 minor league games, will have his first major league game on Thursday afternoon in Toronto. New pitcher for the Blue Jays is the lefty Kirby Snead. You can see his numbers from A-ball and AA last year. And if you're a left-hander in this organization, there are a lot of opportunities. They don't have many lefties in the organization.
I got a scouting report on Kirby Snead from his manager of last year, Mr. Snyder, who is now up here in AA last year. John Snyder was his manager, and he said he's got a great slider versus left-handers. He's a ground ball machine, and he's strictly a relief pitcher. And if he gets that delivery straightened out, he is definitely a big leaguer, because he's left-handed. He's got a great slider, and he has great numbers against lefties. He pitched for Snyder in 5 of the 6 postseason games last year when the Eastern League team, the New Hampshire team, won it all.
There's that breaking ball to Eric Thames. He's got a tough man at the plate in Thames, the veteran with a lot of power. Good chance to show your stuff if you're Kirby Snead.
Yeah. Show him that you've got that ground ball in you.
This is his second appearance in the spring. He pitched just 2/3 of an inning prior to this. Way outside, not close. Snead has appeared in exactly 100 games in the minor leagues, all pitching out of the bullpen. You got to throw that breaking ball at some point in the strike zone. entice those hitters to chase. If it's never in the strike zone, they're never going to offer at it.
They can recognize it early. He averaged a strikeout an inning last year.
There's a strikeout. Hey, what a nice finish for Kirby Snead. He strikes out Eric Thames to end the inning. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. Let's go back to Jamie Campbell and Joe Siddall for our Blue Jays Central Update. Baseball partnership. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. Here in Montreal, we're celebrating 50 years ago. The Expos had their first season. That's Coco LeBoy. And also Javi Vasquez on the right, Steve Rogers on the left. Vasquez and LeBoy are both from Puerto Rico. And you can see Luis Rivera and Charlie Montoya, all natives of Puerto Rico, getting a chance to catch up and visit. Coco LeBoy played 5 seasons here in Montreal. And he had 28 home runs, had a terrific rookie season in 1969, finished second in the Rookie of the Year voting in 1969. Ted Sizemore of the Dodgers.
It's a fraternity, isn't it?
Well, that's great to see, isn't it? Javi Vasquez, what a pitcher he was for a long time in the major leagues. Richard Urania facing Angel Perdomo, former Blue Jay minor leaguer.
Yeah, he was an international free agent signed by the Blue Jays in 2011 and started up through the organization, through the Dominican Summer League, then the Gulf Coast League Blue Jays, and then Bluefield, and seemed to put it all together just a couple of seasons ago. And now the Brewers organization signed him as a free agent.
Richard Urania takes a foul ball and fouls it out.
Just last November.
So Perdomo in 2017 pitched at Dunedin. So he played with Gavin Biggio, Anthony Alford, a lot of the young Blue Jays, Gurriel and Guerrero, both on that team as well. Danny Jansen was there in Dunedin, so they all know all about Angel Perdomo. He's had some issues with his knees, and I think that held him back more than anything. He's big, 6'6". Urania hits it into right field. Gamble is there and makes the catch, 1 away. Richard Urania, more than likely after this game, Blue Jays will talk to Urania and Sogard, and one of those guys is going to make the team. One of them is going to be disappointed. They have both had their moments in spring training. Urania, a very young player, switch hitter. He does some things that Sogard doesn't do, but Sogard, the experienced major leaguer, we saw him tonight put the bat on the ball, have good at bat, made a great tag at second. But the problem for Sogard is he's not on the 40-man roster.
That could work against him where Urania is, and Sogard might be better suited to being a utility type of player, a veteran who's been around for a little bit, and Richard is a young player who needs to play every day. But it will sort itself out, and when they make those decisions over the next couple of days, it's not like that's going to be the team for the rest of the season. There's going to be changes over the next 2 weeks with some of the pitchers coming back off of injured list, where there's going to be shuffling and reshuffling over the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
And the breaking ball catches the inside corner. This is Josh Palacios facing Perdomo. Boy, you're right. Isn't it something? Everybody said, who's going to make the opening day lineup? Well, who really cares? Last year, the 25-man roster, there are only 10 players in the organization from last year's opening day roster, 25 men. 10. That's
in the organization.
In the organization, not just here, but even in the organization. So there's a lot of turnover, and there's going to be a lot of changes. Blue Jays start the season playing 11 straight games. So you're going to have the best 25 players you can find for those 11 games to start the year.
And I guess the numbers come down to, do you want 13 pitchers and 12 regulars, or 13 regulars and 12 pitchers? It looks like the Blue Jays are leaning to 13 pitchers, carrying that extra pitcher in the bullpen because of that reason, what you said, 11 straight days to open the season.
It was announced earlier tonight that Trent Thornton will make the start on Sunday. He has been awarded that 4th spot in the rotation just because it's a good matchup. Right-hander against a predominantly right-handed Detroit Tiger team. Bouncing ball, nice play by Thames, but Palacios is going to beat Perdomo. He mentioned Perdomo's had knee problems in the past, and he didn't get off the mound in very good shape. And that'll be an infield hit for Palacios.
Yes, very slow coming off that mound, very deliberate. Falls off towards the third base side. Now he's got a sprint. And if you've got a pitcher that size running against an outfielder like Palacios, Palacios is going to win that race every time. Watch the runner, Palacios. As soon as Thames has to go and get it, he knows it's me versus the pitcher. And he's going to beat him every time.
Billy McKinney facing the left-hander Perdomo. McKinney hopped out back in the 7th. Billy's had an interesting spring in that he has played in the outfield. He has played some first base, and he will start the season as the 4th outfielder on his team. But he's going to have plenty of opportunities to play.
Well, one of the advantages he has as the 4th outfielder, he's the only outfielder who hits left-handed. They're all right-handed hitters. So if one of them is struggling against a certain right-handed pitcher, Charlie Montoyo is going to have that opportunity to put McKinney's bat in the lineup.
Yeah, and you're going to face some tough right-handers in this division, of course. Also here Tanaka in New York, and you've got Rick Porcello and Nathan Eovaldi in Boston.
Well, the 3rd series of the season. Cleveland.
Corey Kluber.
Trevor Bauer. Carlos Carrasco. A lot of breaking balls.
Yeah, and that's a tough matchup for Teoscar Hernandez, so you could pick a spot or two there to give him an opportunity in
any of them.
Yep.
Any of the outfielders, if you want to give them a day off, you've got a left-hander, and Billy can play any of the positions.
Yeah,
and he can play some first base.
1-2. Lays off that up and in pitch. McKinney has made some adjustments facing left-handed hitters. I spoke to him earlier in the spring about that, and I said, what do you do against lefties trying to combat that slider? He said, I actually back up off the plate. If that pitch looks away to me, it's going to be more off the plate than you would imagine, and it looks like a ball out of the hand of the pitcher. So he won't chase. Palacio was leaning towards second there.
Got to make those adjustments. If he is leading, I'd go. Chances are this is going to be a breaking ball, 2-2. Doesn't want to go to 3-2.
The fastball, and McKinney strikes out. Perdomo's got that fastball in a good spot. Up and in.
Throw it close enough to the strike zone that it looks like a strike, but it's tough to do anything with that high fastball.
Perdomo is still just 24 years old. He played his first season with the Blue Jays in a Dominican Summer League in 2012 as an 18-year-old. Biggio takes one for the team. He worked a walk his last time up, and he is hit by a pitch.
Well, you like to hang in there against those left-handers, but that fastball got away from Perdomo. It's like it got him, grazed his shoulder. Turned away from that ball, it just glanced off his shoulder.
You know, that was really interesting how he took that pitch off his shoulder. He turned his back to the baseball and protected his hands. So many times we see hitters expose their hands to that pitch inside. Watch how he turns his back to the baseball and takes it off the shoulder. Yeah, you don't want to get hit, but you certainly don't want to get hit in your hands.
I'll take it off my shoulder like that
every day of the week. But it's interesting how he turned into that pitch and really protected his hands. Patrick Cantwell had a base hit his only time up tonight. Came around to score. Pops this one in the air. Eric Thames over near the dugout is there and makes the catch. That'll end the inning. The Blue Jays a stranded pair. We will go to the ninth. Blue Jays trying to end up their spring training on a good note with a win here in Montreal. Is the manager of the Blue Jays, and Pat, how would you assess spring training under Montoyo in his first go round?
Organized. I felt like it was very organized, that they had a checklist of things that they wanted to accomplish before they left Florida, and he started checking them off every day. Let's work on our base running one day. Let's work on our shifts and how we're going to do cutoffs and relays on another day. Catchers got a lot of work in, and it shows the improvement that they have. Infielders did a lot of work. Base running. They ran the bases this year. They ran the bases during batting practice. They would go out there and run from third base trying to get breaks off of third base with less than 2 outs. So I thought it was very organized. I thought it ran really well. And I think a shout out needs to go to Shelley Duncan, who was the camp coordinator, who put it all together and made the thing run like it did.
Shelley Duncan did a great job of coordinating spring training, and it's a challenge to plan out spring training, what you're going to do for the drills. And one thing that Montoyo and Duncan did together was they sent out the lineups. They set them out 5 days in advance, and every night the players would get an email. It'd have the lineup for the next day, travel list, who's going on the road, who's staying back, what you're going to do. Everybody knew exactly when and where to be, what to do. It was a well-organized situation. And we're going to have a pitching change here as Kirby Snead faces 2 lefties and strikes them both out. That's the way to impress your manager. Job well done by the left-hander. He gets a word of encouragement from the skipper. 2/3 of an inning last night. He got a couple of outs. He had a sac fly, walked the batter, and got a ground out to end his outing. And he comes in trying to close this thing out tonight.
Yeah, showed a good fastball and a very good breaking ball. Again, the high, hard fastball, and then the curveball. Former 3rd-round draft pick 2 drafts ago by the Blue Jays. Spent most of his time last year in Double-A. Pitching for John Schneider.
So he comes on with 1 out and nobody on. And Dave Hudgens on the right of Charlie Montoyo. He is the bench coach, and boy, what a good hire that is. He comes from Houston, and he was in Houston at a time when their young team was developing and they turned into a World Series championship team. So Hudgens, a very valuable coach on this coaching staff. Keston Hira, the second baseman, popped out in his only at bat. There's a strike with the fastball. Many of these players will stay here in Montreal and fly home back to Florida, waiting their assignments to their respective minor league teams. Blue Jays, on the other hand, they'll fly out quickly after this ball game, go to Toronto, have an off day tomorrow before the opener on Thursday. Thomas Pannone got the start, and he was good. 2 innings, 2 hits, no runs. Walked the batter and struck out 1. Javi Guerra had a good outing, as did Danny Barnes. Blue Jays have shut out the Brewers after they put up 10 runs last night. Hit on the ground, gobbled up by Bichette. 2 away. 2 down now. We want to remind you that coming up later on, and here's a preview of Sportsnet Central. Here's Ken Reed and Ivanka Osmak.
Hey, Buck. Across town in Montreal, the Habs are flying against Florida, but they do pay a price tonight.
And what's it like to hang out with the Harlem Globetrotters? Ken and I found out. Take a look. Buck, Pat, back to you.
Thank you very much, Ivanka. That's all coming up right after this ball game, and we want to make sure you check that out to be updated on everything that's going on around baseball. Probably some late moves as these teams try to get down to their 25-man roster. Certainly the final weeks of the NHL season as teams try to position themselves for the postseason.
I saw online here talking about putting teams together, rosters. Fernando Tatis Jr. is going to make San Diego Padres lineup and roster, and Eloy Jimenez is going to make the Chicago White Sox.
They got to put him on that team. They just signed him for $46 million. Wouldn't make much sense to have him in AAA, would it?
Yeah.
A 6-year extension for a player that never played in the big leagues. That's a deep fly ball to left. Biggio at the track, and that'll do it. Spring training coming to an end with the Blue Jays win here in Montreal as they shut out the Brewers. Zach Jackson gets the save. Charlie Montoyo has the spring training schedule under his belt. And now the next time we see the Blue Jays, it'll be for the real thing on Thursday afternoon.
I think he learned a lot about his team. He spent the spring working with his players to see what they can and what they can't do. Ross Atkins, him, and the coaching staff, they're all going to get together and now try and get the best 25 players that they can to finish up their roster as they get ready for Thursday afternoon. So still a lot of work to do, but Charlie Montoya and his coaching staff know the type of players that they want and that they have, and it should be a lot of fun as they get ready to open it up.
Well, we want to thank you for being with us all spring long. Charlie Montoya looking ahead to Thursday. It all starts at 1 o'clock on Thursday. Stay tuned. Here's Sportsnet Central with Ken and Ivanka.